You're in True Blue Lounge with Roger Smith. I'm the host, and today we have Dwight Gabby Coote with us. Gabby, how are you doing today?
Doing fine, my brother, doing fine.
Good, good, good. Anyway, this is kind of like my get to know series. So what I want to do is I'm going to ask you some questions, and I just want you to go with the flow, elaborate when you feel the need to. But before I even go with my questions, I realized that this weekend was one of our fallen brothers' funerals, Cecil Pringle, Silla. Can you give us a little synopsis of the funeral and how you felt, and being around school people and understanding our vulnerability?
Well, his funeral actually turned out to be a grand reunion because I got to see a lot of people that I graduated with at Manning's at the funeral. And I was very pleased with the turnout of folks that were there. I got to meet his wife, got to meet his 6 children. Yeah, 6 beautiful children. And it was it was a sad, sweet occasion. You know, the sad part was to see my good friend laying in a casket, but the good part was to meet his family.
That's nice. That's nice. Hey, so watching you and Caswell Dawes when you were speaking there, man, I'm sure most of us that watched that, it brought a lump to our throats. It was a real touching time, and I'm really thankful that you were there. I was jealous myself. It was great. Thanks. Cool. Hey, so let's jump into these questions. And once again, this is a get to know Gabby. So, firstly, Gabby, what's your drink of choice?
Stella.
Okay, the beer, nice beer. Cool.
Mhm.
What's your favorite meal? If you go to a restaurant and it's on it, you're sure to have it.
Curried chicken.
Nice, nice, nice. That's a good one. All right, so you're living in Florida now, Gabby. What I'd like to know is from high school, what was your transition from high school to where you are now? Just tell us how you got to Florida from graduating Manning's High School.
Well, as you mentioned, high school, and you mentioned Silla earlier. Silla and I aborted our sixth form years by just finishing 6B. Both of us joined the fire service in Savlamar. We were there for about maybe a year and a half. Silla went on to the credit union. I went on to work at Frome as a junior overseer. In the olden days, they called that job a busher. And it's one of the most fulfilling jobs I've ever had in my life, because I was dealing with most of the people I dealt with were people who were illiterate, couldn't read or write. And I got to see the proper cross section of Jamaica. I had to write letters for them. I had to make up a date of birth for most of them to send into the company to know when their retirement date is going to be. It was a real fulfilling job. I spent 9 years, I think, with them. And then I got married to a US citizen. She petitioned for me and I moved to Florida. And that's why I got to Florida back in the 1991, 92.
Tell me something. When you got to Florida, living in Jamaica, Frome, tell me initially, what were your thoughts? You landed in Florida. What's on your mind?
It was a huge culture shock for me, because when I came here, I started a job where I was going to work at 4 a.m. When I was in Jamaica, I was coming off the streets at 4 a.m. So it was a huge culture shock for me. And I saw how, like your neighbors, would just walk by, didn't even say hi. That's what we're not used to in Jamaica. In Jamaica, where I'm from, everybody knows everybody. A quick joke. I remember I went to introduce myself to a neighbor when I just came here. And she ran inside the house and locked the door and called the police. All I was doing is going across just to introduce myself. But it's just those things were the shocks that I got when I just came here. But after a while, I'm someone who can ebb and flow with it. After a while, I adjusted.
Nice. So tell me something. As far as jobs are concerned, what's the best job you've enjoyed doing? And on the other hand, I'd like you to tell me what was the worst job you've done.
As I said before, I owned my own trucking business for pretty close to 15 years. That was the cusp of my, you know, you know, better part of my remuneration, I should say. But the most fulfilling job I did was working as a junior overseer at Froome.
No.
Because I was actually in touch with, this lower socioeconomic ladder in Jamaica. And I saw how those people, through their partners and stuff like that, and build their houses, send their children to school. I know quite a few children who were actually born in my hands who are now doctors and lawyers. So it was so fulfilling to see these people coming from the socioeconomic ladder, the way at the bottom. And now their children are lawyers, doctors, politicians. So that was the most fulfilling job for me.
That's nice. That's nice. That's a real nice thing. Giving, being able to be part of, these people's families' journey is always going to be a good thing. So, Gabby, tell me this: have you any hobbies, and do you get any time to indulge?
Well, one of my number one hobby right now is watching sports. I'm a huge NFL fan. My team is the Miami Dolphins. I watch them religiously, although they break my heart every year. And one of the things I like to, I like music. I love music. I love to listen to our own reggae music and stuff like that. So I have a cousin of mine who, whenever they're having any little functions on reggae, he'll call me up and we'll go take in some reggae music. As a matter of fact, this weekend, this Saturday night, we have a thing with Waggy Tea. We're gonna go take in Waggy Tea this Saturday night.
So your knees and your hips are keeping up?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I played in the Cecil Pringles soccer game last Saturday in Jamaica. I'm still standing.
Nice, nice. Yeah, they have a little Robbins near, I think, in Bengay or something like that. You rub your knees and your hips, just in case.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, so Gabby, you have any vices? Cheers, by the way.
Yeah. Let me see. Vices.
Well, some maybe you don't. Maybe you don't.
Maybe I don't.
Oh, you like working out? How does that sound?
Oh yeah, yeah. I get I go to the gym on a regular basis. Hey, too many of us dropping from heart attacks, man. As you see, Silla played the entire game last July. Nobody thought, of all the persons who were on that field, nobody thought he'd be the one who died from a heart attack.
Right, right.
I think I played maybe 10 minutes of the game. The heat was terrible. And to see Silla pass out from a heart attack, it's a wake-up call for all of us to see the special athlete he was, and then to see him die from a heart attack is a wake-up call for everybody. I think I'm going to work out hard at the gym now.
Take it easy. Everything in moderation, they say. Everything in moderation. Hey, let me ask you something else. Are you religious? And how does religion, if you are, how does it play a part in your life?
Well, let me tell you something. I grew up in a very religious home. My mother is the closest thing to a perfect human being that I know. She prayed constantly. She went to her church constantly. She was a giver. She did things in our community to help others that is after she died, we knew what she did. And I grew up in the church and I've learned a lot of craft in the church. I had a great uncle. His name was Uncle Lenny, very spiritual man. When he came to visit, he would wake us all up. We had to circle around my mom and dad's bed and pray. And all those things have stuck with me throughout my entire life. I myself, no, I'm married to an evangelist. My wife is an evangelist. I believe in God, believe in the supreme being, but I'm not the type of person who is a serious Bible thumper as some people are, because I know who God is. Because he said he created us in his likeness and his image. So I know who God is. It's not like some people will be very forthright with it. I won't meet you in the street and be hitting you in your head with a Bible. That's not me. Yeah, you'll see my actions that I'm a loving person, a caring person, a giving person. And you know that, hey, there's something about this guy that's different.
By their fruits you shall know them.
There you go.
So let me ask you this. Describe a high point in your life and describe a low point in your life and how you overcame it. Double-edged question.
Well, let me start with the high point first. High point is me going to Canada and finding my high school sweetheart, who is now my wife. It was a very high point in my life, because I thought she was still living in England because she's English just like you. So I thought she had gone back to England to live. But luckily, went to my aunt's funeral in Canada and found her there. I don't really have much of a low point. I think one of the things I would say is a low point, it's the passing of my sister last year. She was a very gentle soul, and she only got 62 years. But she was a very spiritual woman, so I'm not really worried about her. But it's just that I would have liked to see her had some more years because she was a wonderful human being.
Gabby, so what have you learned about yourself as you get older, as you mature? What are you learning about yourself that you maybe even surprises you as you get older?
Uh, I wouldn't say I surprised myself. I learned about life from two of the kindest people in the world, my mother and my father. And I realized that now, at my age now, I'll be 59 in a month. I realized that I'm looking at life a little different. I'm more giving, I'm more empathetic. I care more about others than just myself, which I never was a selfish person. I was always unselfish. But I find myself gravitating to assisting more now because, as I said on a little thing the other day, am I my brother's keeper? And we live in a world that is filled with selfish people. And if we can just do like what Michael Jackson says, the man in the mirror, change begins with me. What can I do to change what's happening in the world? And that's where I am in my life right now. What can I do to make changes? I had to go to Stella's funeral. If it was only kept in Timbuktu, I had to be there because he's my brother. And I had to be there to support the family.
That's really nice. Really nice. What would you say you were very passionate about, or have you explained that in that giving of yourself and time and stuff? Is that what you say you're passionate about? Most passionate about?
Yeah. I'm passionate about family. Nelson Mandela once says that if you want to destroy a country, you want to destroy a village, you destroy a community, you destroy the family. So we have to make sure that we keep our family intact, our children. There are too many, like right now in Jamaica, there are too many young men that don't have a father figure in their life. And that's a recipe for disaster, And if we had more mentors, right, in the lives of young men, the world and Jamaica that I'm passionate about would be a much better and safer place for people to live and go to. So keeping that family structure intact is of utmost importance to me.
I agree with you totally. I agree with you totally on that. I don't know what happened, but there was a time, if I was to put a number, it's maybe in the 80s, early 80s, when that family structure started, falling down. Let me ask you this, Gabby. When we expire from this earth, what do you think happens to us?
I have been thinking very, very hard recently. I have had quite a few deja vus in my life. Like the first time I went to Canada, I knew it was my first trip to Canada. But after I stepped off that airplane and I walked into Pearson International Airport, a feeling took me over that I've been here before. I came through this airport before, but I know that Dwight Coote was the first time I went to Canada.
Mhm.
I believe that our body is the vehicle for our spirit, right? It's like my car is parked outside of the driveway. And if I don't go into that car and press the ignition and put it in gear, it's not going to move. Our body is just the vehicle for the spirit. When this body dies, the spirit leaves the
Mhm.
body. And I strongly believe that that spirit is going to enter another body.
Let me ask you this much. Do you think animals have that same spirit or soul?
I don't know. I would be giving a serious guess when it comes down to that. I'm not sure. But the thing is that the DNA of an animal and us, if you put them together, you can't tell the difference. Right now, they're putting pigs' kidneys into human beings and it's working. That means there has to be some correlation there with the DNA of the pig and the human. Yeah, you know what? The thing with the whole evolutionary thing with life, there are a lot of things that are unexplained. And as you grow older and you travel and you see things in life, it makes you think. You see, the thing with me, Roger, I'm not a goose stepper,
Mhm.
right? Like a lot of people are goose steppers. You come up and you grow up and you hear something and you just do it without even asking a question. Says, hey, why is this thing red? Don't question it. You know, our parents always ask us not to question anything. You know, and I reach a point in my life where I ask myself, why are they asking me not to question anything? God gave me a brain. He gave me the brain to think. He didn't give it to me to just sit in my head. He gave me a
Yep.
brain to think.
Hey, Gabby, when you think of the future, are you hopeful? When you
Yes.
think of your daughter having children, you're pretty hopeful. And why are you hopeful?
The thing is, I have an uncle, a 99-year-old uncle who served in World War II. And he said when he was on the battlefield in World War II, he thought it was going to be the end of the world. He said there were people back in the early 1940s who were giving up. There were people who were committing suicide. There are people who thought that this is it because they saw so much carnage around them, so much
Mhm.
death around them. They thought it was going to be the end. Today, he looks at the world today and he says, wow, it's a good thing he didn't give up. He's 99, right? And he's living the best time of his life.
That's nice. It's nice. Very
Yeah.
good.
I have hope right here. Yeah.
How do you keep yourself in good spirits?
I'm always a happy person. I'm always a happy person, always a fun guy, always like to be around my friends. I have
You're
friends.
pretty serious tonight, though. You're honestly looking very serious tonight.
I'm serious because you're giving me some serious questions right here.
Hear this one there. Did you have a high school crush? Hear this one.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, man.
Well,
Definitely.
are we talking about teacher crush or children, teacher and student? Oh, teacher crush. Oh, you said,
Yeah, man. Miss Chetty Singh.
okay.
Miss Chetty Singh.
Where is Miss Chetty now?
Oh man,
Uh,
she's not here no more.
Okay.
Yeah, she passed away. She had gotten married and her name was Ferguson.
Hmm.
Yeah, she taught me in first Aunt Manning's. Oh my god, man. I had a serious crush on that lady.
We're using this word crush loosely. How
Mm.
did she make you feel in first form?
Wow. I can't forget. She had a green army pants that she used to wear. That pants was just made for that lady. When she put that pants on, every curve in her body should have been it. And can you imagine a 12-year-old looking at her writing on the chalkboard? Go figure.
Wow, that must have been something.
Okay.
So did she? And my question is, did the crush know? But I'm assuming it was going to be a student. So I'll take it that the teacher didn't know that you had a crush on.
No, no. When I left school, I saw her in Sablamar one day. And I went up to her and said, hey, Miss Cheddising, how you doing? So she says to me, oh, you're a big guy now, Dwight. You can just call me Rosie.
Ooh.
And then it was an opening for me to say, I said, Miss Chelly Singh, did you know that I had a crush on you as a young boy in school? She says, Dwight, I knew, you know. No, women know these things. She know these things. She said she knew.
Wow.
Yeah, she said she knew.
That's nice. That's nice. Hey, looking back on, life's journey since high school, is there anything you would have done differently?
Yes. And I spoke about it last Sunday. I would have not left school in 6B. I would have gone on to 6A. I don't know if my life would have taken a different trajectory if I'd gone to 6A, but I believe Mr. Nita came to my house 3 times for me. 3 times. He came. Even after school started, he came. He says, Dwight, you can start. But I wanted to be a man very early. But I look back at it, and if I could live my life over, I would have finished sixth form. It's one of the regrets I had in school.
Wow. When you look at where you are in life and the individual you've become, what would you attribute the Manning's high school in its way to mold you to who you are now?
Well, you know what? Manning's was not only a school. Manning's was an institution that taught me responsibility and taught me how to become a man. I look at Mr. Nita. He was a great leader. And some of us didn't realize how great a leader he was until after we left school and became men ourselves. Most people don't know this. Mr. Nita used to take me home after soccer matches because I lived in the country. And I learned more about Mr. Nita than probably only Michael and Chris knew Mr. Nita more than I did. Most of you guys don't know that Mr. Nita taught at Monroe and taught at Cornwall College before he came to Manning's and at Manchester High School. Most guys don't know that Mr. Nita served in the Royal Air Force in England, right? And these are things I learned from him while he's driving me to Burnstone and me and him chit-chatting, right? Mr. Nita even saw me on the Love in Action chair speaking to Denise, which is my wife now, and he said to me one day, he was taking me to Burnstone after a soccer match. He says to me, Coote, I think you let that Buchanan girl in. I always see you talking to her. So I'm just saying that these things happen. And Mr. Green also, Mr. Caper Green, he was there as our mentor and he was there as our confidant. He was there as our grief counselor when Hope and Kelly died tragically that day we were going to Monroe to play the Elron Cup finals. And Mr. Green taught us toughness. And it has made me a better man now by, learning how to handle, tragedy.
Gabby, when you say that, sorry about that. I remember having a discussion, and someone was saying at the time of Hopeton's passing, Mr. Green probably was in his 20s. And when we now reflect on having someone pass, you're in charge of a football team and having one of your players die in a horrific accident on the way to a game, we didn't even realize it's only now we're thinking, but at that time, Mr. Green was a young man. So that grief counseling should have been probably school wide.
It should have been. But at that time, we didn't have the funds. And maybe at that time, the people who were in charge didn't have the knowledge of knowing how much that affected us. I'm telling you, I'll be 59 in a month, and I'm still grieving for Hopeton. And this happened 46 years ago.
Wow.
And I'm still
But,
grieving.
but Gabby, I think that, a lot of people say, everything happens for a good reason. I'm sure religious people have their reason behind it. And, a lot of things in life, we really don't know what the answers are. I'm just amazed that you guys on the bus um, aren't more traumatized than you actually are. But, maybe it's only when we start, talking to the right people, we'll get the help that's required. You know what I mean?
Well, my daughter, who is now, a psychologist, my daughter had set up for me to get grief counseling from a psychiatrist because she saw how much it affected me.
Mm.
I'd be watching a sports tragedy on television,
Mhm.
and believe me, it's like you turn a faucet on my face, man.
Wow.
Because what happens is that thing with Kelly, it just comes right back and hit me like a ton of bricks.
So this interview got real somber, but I understand. We just had a soldier fall. When you want to have fun, real fun now, Gabby, what do you do?
Oh, I go to there's a little spot here in Florida they call it truck stop,
Okay.
right? Where they have, you know, good food, reggae music, all that stuff. That's my little place where I go. And me and my cousin and few buddies, we go there and we go there for a few hours, relax, unwind, have a beer, and just shoot at the wind.
Is that indoor or outdoor?
It is an outdoor setting.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, it's
Nice,
beautiful,
nice.
beautiful. Yeah.
Well, you're one of the lucky ones. So now that we had some time to talk, Gabby, how do you feel about other classmates just sitting and having this opportunity to just have a little chat? No big, nothing too deep. A lot of us haven't seen each other for 45 years. Imagine just being able to sit down and have this talk. And this is what this forum's about. So now that you've sat down and, have a chat, how do you feel?
I feel good, man. I feel good because it's a beautiful thing. We may not realize it, but we're family. I've known you, Roger, since you were what?
Unity.
8, 9 years old.
Yes, sir. Unity School.
Exactly.
Bogey.
Right. You and I are coming. Right. You and I are coming all the way from primary school. We may try to not think, but we're family, man. It's the beautiful thing. The beautiful thing on Sunday, taking pictures, having a drink, chit chatting with my buddies from school. It's a beautiful thing. One thing I'll leave you with, Roger. My father, when he was on his deathbed, my father said something to me. He says, son, you may amass the most wealth in the world. But he says, when it comes down to the final analysis, if you don't have good relationships with friends and family, he says you're a poor piece of garbage.
Wow. That's profound. Very profound.
Yep.
And last question. Do you still talk in our mother tongue, Patois?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
You're sounding very, very American, honestly, you're sounding very American. Anyway, Gabby, I really want to thank you for taking the time out to have a talk with me. Thank lovely Denise as well for allowing you to talk to me because I know how it goes, you know what I mean? So thank you very much, sir.
all right, my brother. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Anytime. And we're going to talk more, okay?
Okay.